Hi, this is John Rasmussen, the Urban Shaman, and recently I was fortunate to attend an event called the Day of Tikkun, and what that means in Quechua is a day of repair. And this was put on by a gentleman by the name of Eric Greenberg, who I introduced to the Caro and became greatly involved in the healing traditions of the Andes, and a very close friend then of my friend Alberto Villoldo. And he put on this magnificent event where he invited the Caro Indians from Peru to do their despacho ceremony, and some various speakers, wonderful speakers, Gary Zukov and Marianne Williamson and a few others. And what I was really excited about actually was Marianne Williamson's talk. And this is because this is a subject that's been so dear to my heart. It's been so much a part of my entire life and my work. And it's about the return of the feminine. It's about the empowering of women to once again really take charge. As you know, in our world, it's a mostly masculine dominated world, and particularly here in the United States, there's a small percentage, maybe 20% of any policy body like our Congress and so on, people that are making the big decisions, the CEOs, the board members and so on, it's 80% men, 20% women at best. And I firmly believe that if it was the other way around, most of the world problems would be solved. I believe we wouldn't have poverty. I believe we'd have a much better approach to crime and restorative justice. I believe we'd have much better utilization of our resources and treatment of the environment and harmony amongst each other in nature, cooperation, because that's fundamental to the fabric of the feminine and of women who embody that. And true, the feminine and masculine exist within all of us. And this concept also applies to every man and every woman in terms of their internal focus and what's in charge, and I like to think of it, the mind and logic is always in charge in terms of, just trying to make decisions based on a limited set of data and a very narrow focus. That's more the masculine, and it has its place. It's very good for engineering and building bridges and things like that. But the feminine, the body, the heart, is something that I believe ought to be deciding where the bridges go and when. So I loved Marianne Williamson's talk. She was on fire. She came out really expressing these ideas, not only in terms of women coming into their power, taking charge, taking political seats and positions and so on, educating themselves for that, but also for the idea of spirit versus matter. We live in a society where our conscious development is sometimes measured in terms of how more spiritual we are versus how more physical we are, material we are. And to shamans, there's never been a separation of the two. So we don't buy into this hierarchical notion that more spiritual is better. And there's been too many people on that path, and this according to Marianne Williamson, and it's sort of been an observation of mine as well, on spiritual paths who wish to no longer engage in the messy material world of politics and policy and economics and business and so on. And yet this is exactly where those people need to be engaging. And so her point was, now that we've done our personal growth work, now that we've become we've done our spiritual work where we're less attached, we're not driven by ego, we're more transcendent and so on, now's the time to come back and grow corn with that. Now's the time to come back and engage in the world, in the processes, to bring that wisdom, to bring those perspectives where it matters most to all the things that are important to us, like nature, the earth, again, children and how they're educated and treated, women in general, how they're treated, and such that I really believe that this is the answer to all of our problems. At least it's the primary step that needs to be taken. Yes, men can evolve. Yes, men can get in touch more with their feminine and all of that. But I truly believe that women who naturally embody the ideas for millions of years now of evolution and so on, who naturally embody the concepts of cooperation and of relationship, need to be the ones in charge, need to be the ones really making the policy decisions. And I think that men ought to be courageous enough, of course, to take a step back to let that happen, and to participate and serve and do what men do best. And so again, very, very happy to see that Marianne Williamson is on this path of leading this charge, actually, and that she has created this event called Sister Giant, and I would encourage you to look that up. And it's, in fact, she had a weekend recently in Los Angeles, and it was a magnificent event where it was meant to educate everybody in the audience on the major issues, because that's the first step, is to have the knowledge and the information to be able to step into the arena and take charge. Thank you.